Hello and welcome back to the Anti-Aging Hacks podcast. Today, my guest is José Cordeiro, PhD, who's an international fellow of the World Academy of Art and Science, vice chair of HumanityPlus, director of the Millennium Project, founding faculty at Singularity University in NASA Research Park, Silicon Valley, former director of the Club of Rome, Venezuelan Chapter, the World Transhumanist Association, and the Extropy Institute. José studied engineering at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology in Cambridge, economics at Georgetown University in Washington, D.C., and management at Fontainebleau, France. He's a leading expert on technological change and future trends. He has published more than 10 books in 5 languages and appeared in programs with the BBC, CNN, Discovery Channel, and History Channel, among many other international media interviews. He has received several prizes, including the Spanish Health Award by Instituto Europeo for promoting research on longevity and life extension. Would you like to get thicker, fuller, and stronger hair? Then make sure to check out fullyvital.com. The team's come up with fantastic and natural products that help rejuvenate your hair, but also delay and reverse gray hairs. So if you're interested in better hair, go to fullyvital.com and use the code anti-aging-hacks for 15% off your order. Are you enjoying the shows on this channel? Then please make sure to hit the subscribe button down below so you can get notified when we release new episodes. Our goal with this show is to help you and give you practical tips that you can use to slow down and reverse your aging so you can live and feel younger and live your best life. With that said, let's get on with the show. Jose, welcome to the Anti-Aging Hack Show.
Thank you so much. And it is an honor to be here to talk with you and all your followers about longevity, indefinite lifespans, and even immortality.
Yeah. We met at a longevity conference many years ago, and we've kept in touch. And I see you as somebody who's really moving the needle in terms of, being out there, speaking to people, writing books, publishing, educating people, and being a leading voice for the movement that is longevity, but also beyond. And we can get into the beyond shortly. But how did you, as a means of an introduction, Jose, how did you get into this field? Why did you get so excited about longevity? Because you have a technical background, you went to MIT and a very, very good business degree from one of the top institutes in Europe. So how did you get into this field to begin with?
To me, something that was incredible was the Nobel Prize in Medicine in the year 2012. This was given to a Japanese scientist, Shinya Yamanaka, who was able to rejuvenate cells. This is called today cell rejuvenation, epigenetic reprogramming. It has many names, but it means that you can take an old cell and make it young again. Now we have gone from cells to tissues, to organs. We can rejuvenate eyes in mice, but this is also beginning to be experimented on monkeys, and very soon in humans, in 2, 3, 4 years, we should be able to rejuvenate human eyes. So anyway, that was fantastic. I couldn't believe this was possible, until it happened. But this is how science is. Things are impossible until they become possible. And in the year 2012, Shinya Yamanaka got the Nobel Prize for discovering genes linked to aging in general, because you can also accelerate aging. You can stop aging, or what we want, to reverse aging, to rejuvenate. So to me, again, that was a critical point in my lifetime, seeing that this is possible. And also, my father died, which is a horrible experience for anyone, and I changed even countries. I was living in the USA and I moved to Spain, and I took all the ideas of Singularity University, talking about the singularity and immortality, into Spain. And so it has been the last 10 years in Spain talking about this, but not only in Spain. I go all the time to the USA, to Latin America, to Europe, even to China. My book is coming out soon in Chinese. They changed the title in Chinese. For those who understand Chinese, it's not really the death of death, because the word death is not popular in China. It is eternal life, life, which is a nice title, eternal life. But I also like, of course, the original in English, or the original in Spanish. And it's also coming out in Arabic and in Persian. So I'm really excited. This is the Arabic cover of the book, The Death of Death. which is also different in Arabic. In Arabic, for what I understand, is death is slowly dying. So if people can read Arabic, more or less that is what it should say, that death
Yeah.
is slowly dying. Actually, I hope it dies fast, not slowly.
Yeah. Okay, very interesting. Obviously, you wrote the book, The Death of Death. It's been, I believe, a few years since you've written it. There's lots of translations going on. And it's a very exciting time for people that are interested in living longer, but also healthier. And I think what people, when I talk to people about longevity, it's a mixed reaction. Some are very interested, and some are like, okay, I don't know what I'm going to do later on in life. Like, am I going to have my friends? Like, am I going to have money? What am I going to do? So there's some, uh, mind challenges or thoughts about longevity that we have to talk about as well. But in general, when you tell people, hey, you could live in a 30-year-old body or a 25-year-old body, everybody perks up and they say, yes, I will sign up for that because I want to be young at the end of the day. And so that is what I believe we're getting to, Jose. I want to touch base with you on some timelines. I believe there are some numbers that have been put out by experts like Wei that are very entrenched in this space. And last time you and I spoke, you had thrown out numbers like 2029 as the year in which we get to longevity escape velocity, which I want you to explain what that means, and also 2045 as an age when we get to complete rejuvenation, complete immortality. And so tell me if those numbers or dates are still the same, and what does longevity escape velocity also mean?
Yes, many people are beginning to make forecasts for projections thanks to the exponential advances in technology. The changes are not linear, they are exponential. So they are moving faster and faster and faster. So, in fact, rejuvenation really only became possible like a couple of decades ago. Before, it was not really possible. Now we understand that this can be done, and I repeat, at the cell level, now at the tissue level, and also beginning with some organs. So
Mhm.
it is a matter of time until we learn how to do this better in larger organs and eventually full organisms, and also moving from little mice, because mice are smaller, and also they live shorter lives, so we can actually check if they are living longer, because
Yeah.
instead of living 2 years or 2.5 years, now we have mice that live 5 years, which is the equivalent of 200 human years.
Mhm.
So these trends continue. And my dear friend, professor, mentor, and even boss, Ray Kurzweil, while I was at Singularity University, he talks about what will happen in the world in the future until the year 2099. So
Mm.
by the end of this century, and he has been making these predictions for over half a century. Half a century. In fact, when I was a student at MIT, he was already beginning to make his first predictions. And he has been incredibly correct, incredibly correct. And when he has been wrong, sometimes it's because things happen before he expected them to happen, which is fantastic,
Funny. Yeah.
fantastic. For example, he said in the middle 1990s that a computer could beat humans playing chess by the year 1999. And it happened 2 years before. It
Mhm.
happened in 1997. And the same in the famous TV show Jeopardy. Uh, he he thought it would happen by the year 2015, and it also happened like 3 years earlier. So you
Mhm.
see how things are moving, and now we all see Chat GPT. Chat GPT is getting better and better, exponentially faster. So anyway, let's go to the forecast of my friend Ray Kurzweil that I use and I share, because I think he has been so incredibly right throughout the last half century. He has two magic dates. One is 2029 and the other is 2045. Again, he has many other forecasts publicly available. Even in Wikipedia, you can check his predictions until the year 2099. But the two key predictions are 2029 and 2045. What will happen by 2029? he expects that two important things will happen. One, we will pass the Alan Turing test. And as many people know, the Alan Turing test was this test to know if you are talking with a human or a machine. And he believes this will happen by 2029. But with the latest chat GPT, I think it is happening now. It is happening
Right.
this year. So it will not be in 2029. It might be now.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one is that we should reach longevity escape velocity. Longevity escape velocity means that we will gain 1 year per year we survive. That means we gain an equal amount of time for the time we live, and then even more. Right now, today, for every year we survive, we gain about 3 to 4 months. But this is increasing. This is increasing. So he thinks that as soon as 2029 to 2030, so if we make it from 2029 to 2030, we would basically live long enough to live forever because our life expectancy will increase faster than the time we live. So first 1 year per year, and then over 1 year per year, but still aging, still aging. Then what does it mean? That medicine is advancing so much that we will stay alive even if aging, as it has happened throughout history. But then the second magic date is 2045. And that is when we will have biological rejuvenation for everybody in the planet who wants it. Of course, this will not be forced. This might be like a vaccine. Some people might not want the vaccine, but I would imagine 99% of the people will see that it is good to be young, to be healthy, and to live indefinitely. So that should happen by the year 2045. In between, many other things are happening. I can tell you, I'm convinced that in 10 years, less than 10 years, we will cure almost all cancers because now we are identifying cancer at the genetic level. Now that we can sequence the genome, we can identify the mutations that stop aging because that is what cancer is, which is truly fascinating. Cancer is stop aging. Cancer cells don't age. Cancer cells are called biologically immortal by scientists, not by me. Normal scientists say that cancer cells are biologically immortal because they stop the aging process. And this is also very important because when people tell me that immortality is impossible, I say, how is it impossible when it already exists? Cancer cells are biologically immortal.
Yeah.
But of course, they are bad cells. However, we can learn good things from bad cells. But also, there are good cells, better cells, the best cells that also don't age. And those are the germ cells that you and I, that all of us have, which are needed for reproduction. Germ cells also do not age, and they are also called biologically immortal. So we know we have immortal cells in our bodies, hopefully only the good ones, the germ cells for reproduction, but we might get cancer. However, we will cure those mutations in the next 5 to 10 years because now sequencing the human genome is going to cost nothing. It will be basically almost free in 5 to 10 years, even though it cost the first human genome project cost $3 billion. And it
Unreal.
took 13 years,
Yeah.
$3 billion. Right now, you can sequence your whole genome for around $300 and soon
Yeah.
$200 and then $100 and then $10.
Yeah.
Everybody will sequence their genome. And if you have cancer, you will find those mutations and stop them, reverse them, or eliminate the mutant cancer cells. And this is happening in 5 to 10 years. We will watch this video, okay, in 5 to 10 years to see how much we have advanced.
Fair enough. It's really interesting, all the technologies that are available even today. and the lifestyle habits that people are adopting to be more focused on health and longevity. And there are supplements that you can use that have some scientific data on slowing down the aging process. Of course, like you said, the true rejuvenation is not going to come for a while, but as long as you can slow it down and you gain the extra expectancy of life through science, starting at the age of or starting at the year 2029, then those are very, very promising science. And again, technology. I'm a technologist as well. I went to grad school to get a computer science degree, and so I understand how crazy it is when you don't see any progress for a while and then it just shoots up. And the apps that some of the apps that we use have become ubiquitous. Everybody's using them, and nobody knew about them 3 to 5 years ago. And so that is the curve that we're going to see. And we're already seeing that with Chat GPT. It's insane. Every 3 to 4 months, there's a new release that comes out and it looks nothing. Or it does look to the outsider, it looks okay, maybe small improvements, but to the people that know, it's a huge change in just a few months. So I am a little bit of me is really looking forward to it. And a little part of me is like, oh my God, what's coming? We have no idea. With that said, there's scientists have identified about 14 the hallmarks of aging. It used to be 9 hallmarks of aging, and then they got expanded to 14. 5 new got added, including inflammation and others,
To 12, and
to
then
12.
two possible ones. But yes, right now the count is 12, and
Okay.
you might be right. Maybe in 5 years they will be 14 because we
Ah,
keep on learning.
okay. So then there's companies that are going after many of these hallmarks, or many companies are getting funded to go after the hallmarks. For example, cellular senescence, a lot of interest in that area. Cellular reprogramming, a lot of interest in that area. And so when you're looking from your vantage point, Jose, and you're going and talking to people, what I understand that from a funding standpoint, cellular reprogramming seems to be the most exciting from what I've heard. Um, and so to that point, if you do solve the cellular reprogramming puzzle, which I expect we will because we're getting to the tissue and the organ level now, then does it make the other 11 hallmarks of aging moot, meaning solving the one can solve for all of them? Or do you still have to go fix the stem cells and the telomeres and all the other things that are also maybe associated with aging?
Well, I personally think that we should go after each one of the hallmarks of aging. And also, many of them are related. One has impact on other ones. So you are rightly saying that epigenetic reprogramming, which is based on the Nobel Prize Shinya Yamanaka, that also made me move into longevity
Yeah.
personally, it is truly, truly revolutionary. And actually, it shows that this is not a traditional medical problem. This is an engineering problem.
Hmm.
This is bioengineering. So it is not really like the medicine from the past. This is why so many engineers are moving into the field, because it is different from the past. But anyway, yeah, I love epigenetic reprogramming, and I think it's going to be one of the most important hallmarks of aging. But again, there are more, and there might be more in the future. We keep on learning. Also, about 10 years ago, people thought that the telomeres were the key, because telomeres get shorter and shorter when we age. And there was a lot of research, and this is true because old people have very short telomeres, and not only humans, other species. But this is not the main cause either. So the same might happen to epigenetic reprogramming. But anyway, as an engineer myself, I truly don't care because we know that there are immortal cells. We know that there are immortal organisms like hydras, medusas, the immortal jellyfish. And this is quite beautiful because some jellyfish are immortal and some jellyfish age. And now scientists are comparing the genomes to find why some jellyfish are immortal and some jellyfish age. This is incredible. Another thing which is incredibly fascinating, um, even among mammals, we are mammals, animals, but mammals, we have mammals that live 2 years, like some shrews, some kind of small mice, 2 years. And then we have mammals that live over 2 centuries. 2 centuries. Some whales, bowhead whales, live over 200 years. And all mammals, we share about 90% of the genome at least. So in that difference in the genome, we are going to discover why whales live over 200 years and some small mice only 2 years. So many things are being discovered now that we can sequence the genome and breed it cheaply. Because before it was $3 billion, as we mentioned. Now you can do it for $300, and soon it will be, $1, I think. It will be in 10 years. So we are going to discover all of these differences in aging, why some small organisms do not age biologically. They are called immortal organisms, hydras, the immortal jellyfish. And then other species outside of mammals. There are sharks and some clams that live over 5 centuries, And then there are trees. There are trees that live over 5,000 years. And there are even other trees that probably have lived 250,000 years. So we are going to discover now, because we have the technological advances to sequence the genome and to understand how biology works. And that is why I repeat, this is not really a medical problem. This is a bioengineering problem. And bioengineering is finally coming to the rescue. And all the big technology companies are moving into longevity, all of them. You can see Jeff Bezos, he's one of the founders of Altos Labs, and they put $3 billion to begin with, a small amount of money for a startup, right?
Yeah.
$3 billion. And they are
Biggest
doing,
startup ever. Yeah.
yeah, the biggest, indeed, $3 billion for epigenetic reprogramming. So Jeff Bezos from Amazon, but we have the same with the Google guys, Larry Page and Sergey Brin. They also put 1.5 billion, and another company, Abbott, also put another 1.5 million in Calico, California Life Company. So the Google guys are doing that. Mark Zuckerberg, he actually is donating all his fortune, or well, 99% of his fortune, but that's good enough to cure all diseases, including aging,
Wow.
And
Okay.
Mark Zuckerberg and his wife is a medical doctor who studied biology at Harvard, where they met. They say that they will cure all diseases, including aging, in this generation. So
Fascinating.
Facebook, Google, and Amazon, Apple too, Apple.
Yeah, it's incredible all of these investments that are being made. I read somewhere that Saudi Arabia's Arabian government put in $1 billion into a fund for longevity called, I believe it's called Evolution, which is insane how much money is going into this. And I think we've talked in the past that it is a money problem and it's a bioengineering problem, as you're saying. And so with enough money thrown at a technology that is going to recruit the engineers that we need, the scientists that we need to solve this problem, and the computer models that ChatGPT will enable, we really have a good shot at solving aging, which is crazy to think we're having this conversation this year. You've been in this field for a long time, but it's still like even a few years in, it just boggles my mind that we're going to pull off something that humanity has wanted to do for like thousands of years, right? We can go back to Gilgamesh and them all those writings about immortality and Ponce de Leon and everybody else in the middle that's looking for the fountain of youth and hasn't found it yet, but it is possible and it's going to take investment and time. And I think we're all moving in the right direction. So for the people that might be interested in thinking, okay, this sounds fine, but what is the day in the life going to look like? Let's say that we're 10 years out. Let's just imagine, right? It's 2034 and we've got a lot of technologies in play. There's more coming out. What will rejuvenation in your mind look like? Is it as simple as you going to the CVS and getting like a shot, a, a booster shot, if you will, of rejuvenation that kind of brings you back to a year or two behind? Or do you have to do like gene therapy here and then you have to go get injections there and then you have to go work out really hard here? What's that going to look like in 10 years from now?
Well, fantastic. But since you mentioned Evolution Foundation, I was in Saudi Arabia
Hmm.
for the launching of the biggest prize in human history. $101 million to show biological rejuvenation by the year 2030, which is in 6 years,
Yeah.
of between 10 and 20 years of biological rejuvenation in people between the ages of 65 and 80 in
Wow.
3 biological systems, which are very important, and especially for older people. One is the neurological system, so that you don't have Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's. Two, the immunological system, which is fundamental because older people have no immune system,
Yeah.
and they die of anything, including COVID or many diseases, because there is no immunological system in older people. And finally, the other system is the muscular skeletal system, because we get weaker and weaker. We suffer from frailty. We break our bones. And when you are 80 or 90, you break your bones, and that is your end.
Yeah.
So those 3 biological systems, I repeat, neurological, immunological, and muscular skeletal system, uh, by 2030, rejuvenation between 10 and 20 years in patients of age 65 and 80. This is the biggest prize ever in history at the time, $101 million. Right now, there are about 300 companies, startups, universities, pharmaceutical enterprises competing in this prize, and it is just
Wow.
beginning. So I am quite excited because this also coincides with the year of Ray Kurzweil of longevity, escape, velocity. Because if we make it to 2030 and then we have these rejuvenation therapies, this is the beginning of the end of death, which is what I like to say. I believe in the death of death, and this is what I work. All my
Right.
time now is 200% towards killing death. My goal is to kill death before death kills me. It's a very clear goal. I need to kill death before death kills me. So
That's yeah.
going into the future, my dear friend Ray Kurzweil published a book before called Fantastic Voyage. In this book, Fantastic Voyage, with a beautiful subtitle, Live Long Enough to Live Forever, he talks about 3 bridges to immortality, 3 bridges. The first bridge in the 2010s that just passed is do what your mother told you. Eat well, sleep, do some exercise, don't smoke, don't drink, etc. Those things that we know from our parents and our grandparents. That's bridge 1 that takes us into bridge 2 now in the 2020s. And we are beginning to have the first biotechnology therapies. Things like metformin, rapamycin, senolytics are just beginning. They are not the best, but they are going to improve during this decade, and they are going to get us more time, to buy time to get into the third bridge. So again, second bridge, 2020s with biotechnology, third bridge with nanotechnology in the 2030s. Nanotechnology is technology at the molecular level, even less at the atomic level. So we will be able to have nanobots, nanorobots in our body, cleaning our arteries, cleaning the plaque in the veins, cleaning also the plaque in the brain, in the veins, all the cholesterol, all of these things. These little tiny robots will be available in the 2030s. And then finally, in the 2040s, with artificial intelligence, we will reach immortality through biological revolution. Now, how are we going to deliver this into the person? Mostly people talk today about pills, which is very common to take pills, and also through injections, like a vaccine. Those 2 delivery mechanisms might work. And so scientists are checking out what is the best and how we adapt this to the new technologies that are coming. In fact, there are many therapies now that you can apply in those ways right now. You can take some pills, you can have some injections for many different conditions. And so that is how most scientists today think that we will inject that into our bodies. And yes, you should be able to go to a drugstore, to a pharmacy, and buy those products. That again will not make you immortal immediately, but they will allow you to live longer and longer and longer while we truly develop rejuvenation technologies, which is the goal, rejuvenation technologies. And I repeat, we know that this is possible. The Nobel Prize in Medicine in 2012 discovered that we can rejuvenate cells, tissues, beginning now with organs and soon with whole organisms. It is a matter of time.
Yeah.
So we just need to hang in there a few more years until we have these technologies to be rejuvenated.
Yeah, that's excellent. I don't know who says this, but they say don't get hit by a bus, right? Just don't do anything stupid right now because major changes are coming, which will transform the way humans live, which will transform how young we feel and how young we actually are. And so that will allow us to do a lot of things, which then leads me to the following question is what are we actually going to be doing when the machines get here, which they're going to be here any day now, it looks like. ChatGPT is already doing some great stuff. It's putting people out of jobs in some way, meaning they have to retool what they're doing instead of writing a lot of marketing sales material. They're maybe retooling it and maybe becoming prompt engineers. So it's changing the way we are looking at the job market now and certainly in the future. And so when it comes to human passions and either finding work or jobs or doing other vocations that really interest you, how do we kind of bridge that gap when a lot of the construction worker, the menial jobs can be taken over by the machines? What will humans do and what will they find passion in doing?
Well, fantastic that that will happen. Fantastic. But let me tell you one phrase, since you were thinking about one single phrase. I love what Brian Johnson says. Don't die. You know,
Don't
that's the
die.
strategy.
Yeah.
Don't die now because we will be able to rejuvenate you very soon. What will we do? Incredible things. Let's go back in history. Until about 10,000 years ago, we did not even have agriculture. All of humans, all women, men, children, all people, we were out hunting and gathering fruits. This is what we did. All humanity. There was still no biology, no medicine, no doctors, no lawyers, no politicians, no economists. We were just hunters and gatherers. And it was not a very easy life. We would break our legs. We had a life expectancy of about 20 years, average life expectancy of 20 years. Horrible. Then we invented agriculture, and all of those jobs were lost. Fortunately, we no longer have hunters and gatherers around, or not many, and we had then farming people. In the USA 200 years ago, it is estimated that 80% of the population were farmers. 80%. Imagine if you told those farmers, you know, we only need 1.5% of the population farming today in the USA, from 80% to 1.5%. What would they say? My job. Or before, remember, think about the hunters and gatherers. They say, what is this agricultural business? You know, I don't know what is agriculture. I want to get my fruit from the tree. So anyway, in the last 200 years, we have created so many new professions, so many new things, and they are better and they are more satisfying. And we are also living longer and longer. Until the year 1900, average life expectancy doubled from 20 in the time of our ancestors, hunters, gatherers, to 40. In the year 1900, 40 years. Today, we are doubling again. We are going from 40 to 80. And in 20 years, we are going to double again, with the advantage that it's not just getting old. It is getting younger in the future. That is a big advantage. So what will we do? I like to think of the Abraham Maslow pyramid of necessities. We were animals before. We just had to survive, eat, reproduce. This is what we did. We were animals. Then we moved up. We moved up through the pyramid, and we are moving higher up. We are self-realizing ourselves to do many more things. And I cannot even imagine what we will do. But I can tell you, in 20 years, we are going to have human colonies on Mars, on planet Mars, and of course in the moon, but the moon is too close. I prefer to go to Mars. We will need farmers on planet Mars. You know, that is a good job for the future. We will need farmers on planet Mars because we are going to terraform Mars. We need to change the environment to make it more user-friendly for us. So I don't know what we will do. Like if you had asked me 10,000 years ago, what is this agriculture business? What is this of planting a seed? You know, I eat the seed, I don't plant it. Or if you tell a farmer that there are going to be economists or lawyers or whatever, you know, they couldn't even think about that. So
Yeah.
I don't know what will happen in the future, but it will be better than what we have today.
Ah, okay. Very interesting. Thank you, Jose, for all of the discussion you've brought. It's really interesting times to be alive, and as long as we keep going and keep taking advantage of all the advancements that are coming down the pipe, I think that we could be in a very interesting place. That'll be a lot of fun for a lot of us. And so then let me ask you, I guess the last question that I have is how do you get your mental state in place? Like, how do you prepare for a world of longevity? How do you, because what happens to a lot of people is as they get older, they start to lose their friends. They just kind of like withdraw from society and they become loners and they don't really want to live longer. And so, for people that are interested in living longer, what might you say that might get them interested in saying, yeah, I want to explore what the future has to bring because I'm feeling good about myself or I'm happy in the state of the world that I'm in? And yeah, so how would you respond to when people ask you that question?
Well, we need to have a mind change, indeed. You know, 10,000 years ago, when we lived 20 years, people probably couldn't conceive living to 40 years, which is what happened in the year 1900. And then in the year 1900, they couldn't think about living to 80 years. And today, we cannot conceive living to 160. But I think the human condition has only improved overall. Of course, with ups and downs, it always happens, ups and downs, even in the heart, ups and downs, but it keeps on, the trend is positive. We have never been in a wealthier time than now, in a more peaceful time. People think it is not peaceful. Well, the 19th century was horrible. Over 150 million people were killed, and the population was smaller. And the same in the previous centuries, even with the smaller populations. So anyway, this is incredible times. We are living longer, healthier, richer lives with a lot of positive things happening. But we had to make peace with death before because there was no alternative. We knew we were going to die. Therefore, it was okay to think, okay, you know, I'll die at some point. But now, no, we are very close to killing death. We are 2 decades away from killing death. So I am not at peace. I am at total war against death. It is the final enemy, the
Yeah.
ultimate enemy. And this is the ultimate battle of humanity. And aging and death is the common enemy of the whole humanity. You know, there are many problems, of course. There is climate change, there is terrorism. You can say the Russians or the Americans or the Chinese, whatever. No, no, no. Our enemy is aging and death. And we are very close to win this final battle. So I am really excited. I think people should be excited. This has been the #1 dream of humanity, as you mentioned, the first book ever written by humans. the Epic of Gilgamesh, almost 5,000 years ago, or the Book of the Dead in Egypt by the pharaohs, also 4,000 years ago. They are about immortality. All cultures, all religions wanted immortality, but we could not have it until now. So now is when we really have to be excited. And I love to say we are between the last mortal generation and the first immortal generation. So my question is, where do you want to be?
Fair enough. And that's a very fitting response and an end to our podcast. So thank you for coming on, Jose. Before you go, tell the listeners where they can find you, where they can follow up and learn more about you, buy your book, for example.
Yeah, if you Google my name, José Cordeiro, and my fantastic co-author, who is British, David Wood, we published this bestseller, in 12 languages and coming in 10 more languages next year, The Death of Death. If you put The Death of Death, you will find me, because remember, I am going to kill death before death kills me. And another thing, let me challenge you to watch this program in the year 2045. Not only because we will be alive, but because we will be younger. My goal is to have a biological age of 25 years in the year 2045. So, are you up to that challenge?
That's beautiful. I'm up to the challenge, and I'm sure the listeners, when you frame it in that aspect, I'm sure everybody will sign up to be in the body of a 25-year-old for sure. Okay, with that said, Jose, thank you so much for coming on the Anti-Aging Hack Show.
Live long and prosper.